London, 1872. I have entered into the service of a new gentleman. It would seem he is a gambling man. Hello everyone, this is MWH Fanatics bringing you a special for this Read Across America Day. I decided, let me turn the volume down a little bit. I decided, oh, there's some shit on my screen. You probably can't see that, but it's annoying me. I decided to do 80 days because it struck my fancy. And, it was on sale. So, anyway, so this is a game based on some fucking old guy book. I don't know. But it's basically, I think you can fail it, if I recall correctly. It's like you're supposed to get all the way around the world in 80 days, and if you can't do that, then you're fucked. So, hopefully this works, and, is that supposed to be pronounced Monsieur? Or is that just a butchering? Anyway. We'll just say Monsieur. Monsieur Phileas Fogg returned home early from the Reform Club, and in a newfangled steam carriage besides. I helped him down, and the iron-lunged, steam-driven horses clattered away. Oh God, this is all going to be in French, and I can't fucking read it. Passepartout, said he. We are going around the world. I'm not even going to fucking attempt to pronounce this shit correctly. So, if you're French, I'm just going to apologize ahead of time because you're really in for a treat. This is the first dialogue choice. Around the world, monsieur? Very good, monsieur. I guess I'll be a toady. Very good, monsieur, I murmured dutifully, not believing a word of it. We shall circumnavigate the globe within 80 days. He was quite calm as he proposed the I'm sorry, I have a stroke. As he proposed this wild scheme. We leave for Paris on the 8:25 in an hour. This was quite a departure from my master, who was, by all accounts, it looks like there's an extra space there, maybe? Who was, by all accounts, a creature of inflexible habit and mechanical regularity. Perhaps the carriage's engine fumes had affected his reason. We'll just continue being a toady. For Paris, monsieur? To begin with, yes. Pack an altimeter and my evening jacket. Is there another space there? Am I crazy? Between and altimeter? I think it's just weird kerning. There's not a moment to waste. You, Passepartout. I'm just going to pronounce it Passepartout because I'm just going to make shit up. Now have funds. Your character is now dependable. What the fuck does that mean? Is that an actual thing that matters? What does that mean? Okay. Quickly, Passepartout. I can't even pronounce my own fucking pronunciation. Collect our things and we will be off. Okay, so pack, I assume, is what we're supposed to do. And wow, that's great. It's just frozen. That's fantastic. Alright, oh, are we actually timed? Oh shit. Okay, Fogg's apartment. There was just a moment to seize anything further that I thought might be useful. Okay, we definitely need the altimeter. He said that. I said we definitely need the altimeter. What the fuck? Okay, that sounds pretty useful. I don't... Yeah, I don't know. All this garbage, I got nothing. Playing cards. That sounds like the most useful. See, this just says valuable, and this is just like, I mean, I guess this might come in handy for like if we're trying to deal with like nobles or something. Wait. Englishman's wardrobe. Englishman's wardrobe. Well, shit. I guess we're taking the evening jacket because, I mean, we may as well complete the set, I guess. That might come in handy. Who knows? So I guess we'll leave the playing cards. I really kind of want to take that because it says, I really don't know what that's going to do. This is an important decision, I feel like. Unless it's like Oregon Trail, in which case it's in no way an important decision because you're just going to die of an unknown ailment in 2 seconds. Of interest to humorous, stalwart, official, and soldier types. That seems like really useful to be able to get in with the officials. But this has to do something. Surely you're not going to take 3 pieces, taking up half of my inventory, and it's going to be useless, right? There's no way. Okay, I'm going to regret that. Our completed Englishman's wardrobe should help us negotiate times of upper-class journeys. Exactly. That's what I figured it was going to be, and hopefully that's not totally worthless. I wasn't paying attention. I thought that that's worth traveling. I didn't think that was routes discovered. Okay, so those are maybe from the shipping. What is this? Apparently nothing. Okay, so I guess we're going to depart. And we have to go to Paris, so we don't have any other option. What is this? Is that 20 days? Is that what that's saying? Or 20 hours? What does that mean? Okay, it needs 1 briefcase and 0 hearts. Okay. Oh, here we go. The Amphitrite Express to Paris. Departing now. The guard's van has space for 1 suitcase, which will suffice. Travel. This looks like a bearable option. So is there going to be 0? Are we going to have multiple briefcases? Well, this is riveting. The mechanical horses raced past Piccadilly Circus and Pall Mall, or Pall Mall, I don't know, faster than a team of thoroughbreds. Even so, the whistle of the 8:25 was blowing as we pulled up to Charing Cross Station. We have no tickets, I exclaimed, or we raced along the concourse and threw ourselves aboard. Fuck it. As the second whistle shrieked its warning, we barely had time to take our seats before the guard rapped smartly on the compartment door. He held out a hand. Tickets, please. Alas, monsieur, we are in a great hurry. Or I pretended to have lost them. I feel like this is the better option. I explained, giving him a beseeching look. We did not have time to buy tickets. You may purchase them from me, the guard was saying, though it is more expensive, I'm afraid. £85, please. I don't really feel like arguing with him. So, I handed over the £85 and smiled a thin smile from one working man to another. The guard gave me our tickets and slid the compartment door shut behind him with a pneumatic hiss. Your funds have gone down somewhat. How much? Oh, there are the funds. Okay. So we have £4,000. I am on fine form, but we must make haste. Well, I mean, that's what we're doing. So I guess we'll converse, because, I mean, why not? Begin conversation about money, I guess. This journey will be most expensive, monsieur. Indeed, but we can earn a little from buying and selling our possessions as we travel. Very good. I don't really have anything worth selling. London's smog gave way to rolling hills and the pastures of the Kentish countryside, still untouched by the hand of technological advancement. I mean, I already know the purpose of our journey. It's to circumnavigate the globe. I guess that. Thrown together in haste and confusion, as afternoon turned inexorably to evening, I discovered that my master was one of those gentlemen who broke their silence rarely, if at all. A guard rapped on our door a few miles before Dover. We are about to submerge, he warned. takes some people a bit funny, so watch out. What do you mean submerge? I cried. This is the London to Paris Amphitrite. Amphitrite? I don't know why I have so much trouble remembering that T. Express, he explained as though to a particularly dim-witted child. The submersible train? Talk of all the London papers? I must have missed it, I admitted humbly. Missed it, he said scornfully. Every inch of her has been examined and stamped with the artificer's steel. Steel. Fuck my life. Seal. I'm really glad I picked a reading game, because I'm clearly so good at it. This is the world's only bath escape locomotive. I pressed my face to the glass as the fins above the Amphitrite. Amphitrite? I'm just going to go with Amphitrites. Amphitrite's wheels extended with a hydraulic hiss. Night fell, and we plunged past the end of the track into the freezing water of the English Channel. Your character is now organized. What the fuck does that mean? Amphitrite Underwater Express. The Amphitrite plowed through the water overnight and splashed up onto wider gauge French tracks at Calais. Or Calais? This is really bad. As dawn broke. Do you have a route in mind, monsieur? I asked as the water of the channel dried from the compartment windows. I am as yet undrenched, my master admitted. The new canal has sped up the shipping route from Suez to Bombay, though perhaps we could take the Trans-Siberian Railway across Russia. I wish I could look at the map and say what that means, but I don't really know where these are. Across Russia. Surely not Bombay, I exclaimed. We shall certainly wilt in the scorching heat. Then we would do well to buy hats and linen trousers. He replied, there are other alternatives. We may also travel overland, okay, and across the Black and Caspian Seas. Do we want safe or do we want fast? Because I feel like I'm going to drag my feet. I kind of want to go for fast. But at the same time, I don't want to lose. I'll go fast, though. I believe, said he, that is what we shall put to the test. Parbleu. I scarcely knew what to think. We arrived at Paris Gare du Nord just after 1 o'clock. Automation porters lifted our luggage and then our persons onto the platform with long, delicately filigreed iron arms. Man, my vocabulary is just not ready for this game. Paris, city of my heart. I was home, but not to stay. Are we from... Oh, yeah, I guess her name is fucking Passepartout. So I guess we are French. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Look at this. Yeah, I don't know. That just looks more direct to me. I feel like that's a nice long landmass, but I think that means we have to go north. Some of our possessions should be quite valuable here, such as... I just don't think that that's true. Market. Let's just see what they've got. Are we gonna go to Berlin? Oh, this is... Look at the time. It's just so quick. Where? How do I get to the map? Where's Berlin? It's up there. So maybe we can go, like, to Berlin. That's not a route, though. There's no connection. Can I go to Berlin? And then go, like, to Warsaw, Minsk, and then Moscow to go all the way through to Vladivostok, which is the, But then where do we go? Where the fuck do we go from there? I mean, I don't really exactly know what qualifies as circumnavigating the globe. I mean, like, do I have to go in a straight line completely, or... Okay. Oh, shit, this is really bad. Shaving kit. Part of the Valiant kit. I don't know. Geometry equipment. That... See, this is really tempting right here, but we have to sell something to get that. And I don't want to sell this because I've already taken up so much of my inventory on that. I don't know if I sell this, if it will get rid of that. Wait, I can buy an extra suitcase. Wait. I mean, it's there, but it won't. Why can't I buy it? Well, okay. I don't really particularly see the reason to stay here, so... Okay. So I guess I have to go all the way around the world in any fashion, but I assume that if I do it closer to the pole, it'll be easier, right? I don't know what they want from me. And there's a lot of water. There's a lot of water. Okay, let's just zoom out and just see where we can go. Can I go there? Okay, so I can't go anywhere from here? Okay, so that I guess I just can't go anywhere from here. Because there's no route open, and now I have to wait. We took a hotel for the night. We'll be comfortable here, Monsieur Fogg remarked, but traveling overnight will soon be more efficient. So we must board the longest journeys available. Perhaps, he replied, the short answer indicating. I think that one day... Oh, I'm sorry, I read that totally wrong. The short answer indicating, I think, that one day journeys might often be more flexible in their timing and could allow for more connections. Still, the surrounds of the Hotel Ritz were most enjoyable. The clock is ticking, Passepartout. We must decide our next steps quickly. Explore. There we go. Okay, now we've got a bunch of options. We had a few hours to spare. I asked Monsieur Fogg if I might enjoy my city before we had to leave. Indeed, and should you learn anything of note, be sure to relay it. But do not waste any time. We have no time to spare. I nodded and headed into town. The talk on the streets was of only one thing. I mixed that up, whatever. An enormous, elegant oval stadium constructed upon the green fields of Champ de Mars, and containing the technological marvels, art, amusement parks, and milling crowds of the World's Fair of 1872. I ventured inside the grand illuminated pavilions of the exposition. I went west towards the airship hangar, past a booth with a husband and wife pair selling panoramic hot air balloon rides to eager tourists. I inquired as to their hourly rate, wondering if perhaps the balloon could be encouraged to go a little way east as well and contribute to our great journey. £80 for a half-hour flight, the man responded. Not today, I think, I replied swiftly. The man nodded and moved on to the next puncher with great swiftness. I regarded the airships that filled the hangar behind him. There were a huge number on display, and from all over the world, and my eye was immediately caught by the bulky coal gas-powered Ottoman Gaiac, which had an excellent reputation for safety, if not speed. More and more were being converted to civilian use as the Ottoman military replaced the Gaiacs with Persian-designed Bayander airships. Where do these ships fly? I asked the woman at the stand. Throughout our empire, and elsewhere too. I believe the flight from Rome to Thessaloniki is by Gaiac. It's a weird kerning. Like, look at how much space there is to the left of is and to the right of is. It's really annoying. Perhaps one day, Monsieur Fogg... I keep leaving out words. Perhaps one day soon, Monsieur Fogg and I would find ourselves flying in such a craft. I returned to the exposition center, my thoughts turning with clouds and engine rotors. Avenues sprawled in every direction between the inviting illuminated pavilions of the exposition. An artificer was replacing an arc light which had burned out. She first disconnected the strange machine powering the lights. It had a spinning iron wheel, which was wound around with a series of armature coils. I merely watched politely, not wanting to disturb her work. Artificers were a notoriously irritable breed. This is a bleeding folly and waste, the artificer grumbled in a thick Yorkshire accent. If I knew how to do a Yorkshire accent, I might attempt one now, but I don't. These Graham machines are finicky beasts. Graham machines? I inquired. Oh, well, oh, never mind. She waved my question away. It's a steam engine, all right? Only it doesn't make steam. Will that do? I hate explaining this stuff to laymen. I don't think that makes any sense. It's a steam engine that doesn't make steam. The harshness of her tone was belied by her gentle touch as she unscrewed the arc light's globe of enameled glass and replaced the 2 carbon rods within. She reconnected the supply, and the 10 Yablokov candles connected in series lit up once more. Will all streets be lit with electricity soon? I asked. There are already a fair passel of cities lit by electricity rather than gaslight, she retorted. London will probably be last, given old Queen Vicky's prejudice against the Artificers Guild. The Queen is against you? She's just cautious. Cautious. Fuck my life. She's just cautious, that's all, the artificer replied, pocketing her screwdriver once more. Knows real power when she sees it, though. That's what I'd say. She looked at her pocket watch, cursed, and hurried off, dropping something as she went. I hurried after her to return, and she thanked me. My medallion. I'll need that to get my lunch from the canteen. Thank you. I bowed in return, and she giggled. Stop that, you'll make me blush. She rubbed the coin thoughtfully. I was given this for my work in Istanbul, you know. I made up a very special automation. I think it works as a driver now, on the route up from Izmir. Izmir? Why does that sound familiar? I think that's right. An automaton. Oh, I misspoke. An automaton who can drive. Of course. Is that so strange? I can only shrug. Who knows what's normal in this modern world? I looked about once more. Crowds of tourists jostled and heaved past, their eyes wide with wonder. Oh my god. Do I want to continue down that path? Fuck it. I headed toward the red and purple tents of the Artificers Guild, draped with banners emblazoned with their copper lily sigil. It had the most incredible display of machines, as though a scrapyard had been brought to playful life. One of the artificers, that's kind of disturbing, was explaining the guild's credo to a group of sticky-fingered children. The copper lily stamp of the guild is an assurance of safety and quality, the artificer said, before pausing to gently discourage a curious toddler's ambitions of flight. We build and maintain everything from children's toys, she gestured to a nearby clockwork monkey, which was enthusiastically banging a pair of cymbals, to airship engines and even mechanical workers. I leaned closer and remained silent, eager to hear more of this wondrous mechanized future. An automaton worker will never tire or feel hunger or thirst. It can function happily under the hot glare of the sun and will not get phossy jaw or cotton lung if it works in a factory. Surely an automaton is as expensive to fuel as a human is to feed, I asked, if not more. The artificer released the child, now squirming in her arms, and gave me a lopsided grin. For now, but we hope to build our automata more efficiently and find cheaper fuels. She raised her voice a little to address the small crowd that had gathered to eavesdrop on our exchange. The Artificers Guild operates across the borders of nation, caste, and creed. I nodded with approval. When we became artificers, we give up our personal loyalties and swear to use our skills only for peaceful aims, the artificer continued. The cleverest engineers and inventors all working together to shape a better future for all the world. I clapped along with the rest of the crowd, carried along by her strident tones and enthusiasm. The artificer caught my sleeve as the crowd dispersed. How was my speech? I rehearsed it all last night. Was it too much? It was very stirring, I assured her, and she gave me a bright, grateful grin as I returned to the central square, stopping here and there to gaze at the wonders of the exposition. My feet were tiring, and the hour was growing late. I returned to Monsieur Fogg, who was eating a meal of plain boiled beef. Yeah, I'm not even going to fucking try that. Did you enjoy the exposition? My master inquired diffidently. As though I had been out visiting an old-aged great aunt rather than witnessing all the wonders that the modern world has to offer. We are unspeakably lucky to live in such an age of invention, I declared. It will certainly make it easier to win my wager, Monsieur Fogg replied mildly. Wager? I demanded. Indeed, I have staked a large sum that we will circumnavigate the globe in 80 days or less. Remarkable. Your character is now dependable. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know how he describes that new route. No idea. Is it just a time thing? Okay. So I think what I want to do is go... I want to go to Moscow, but... what do all these mean? I think I'll go here. I think this departure can be altered. Negotiate. The Englishman's wardrobe should yield results. Continue. Most generous. No charge at 6 p.m. The ticket will require a further 170. Munich. Orient Express. Embark. Go. Okay. Boarding the Orient Express was an altogether calmer affair than our race through London had been. A mechanical porters... Oh, I inserted a word there. Mechanical porters loaded us in through the windows, then snapped them shut with a delicate click. The train was extremely fast and could sweep us across the whole of Europe, or at least as far as the Deutsches Kaiserreich, where the track currently ceased. A last long whistle blew, and we began our journey east. Converse. Sure. What can you tell me of Munich? I hear that one can travel in a private car from Munich to Vienna, but the journey is a tiring one. Hang on. Vienna. I don't know how to get from Vienna to Moscow. Sure. It's possible to go from... No, I haven't been to... My apologies, I have not. As a shame. Ah, shame. I wanted to ask. It was a good spot to honeymoon. Well, that's fantastic. Never mind that. You can pick up stopwatches and you can sell for profit. And okay, Munich, Zurich. Afraid I have to go now. Well, fuck you. You're a worthless piece of shit, and I hate you, you cunt. My master wished to be undisturbed, so as we left Paris. That was a weird sentence. I left him and went to explore the train. There was a delightful dining car and an observation deck formed by the replacement of an entire compartment with an open glass cube. I attended the dining car and found a few groups of people talking quietly. I eavesdropped shamelessly, overhearing a conversation between a young composer and two Parisian ladies who, it transpired, were heading to the same concert in Vienna. I continued to listen, curious for details about that city. My papa says it's very dangerous, remarked one girl, whose name I learned was Isabelle Poitiers. He says the emperor is spoiling for war. I continued to listen to the youngsters, but the chatter turned to matters of hats, and though I am a valet, but there are some aspects of my task I find truly tedious. So I left them to their talk, and I returned to Monsieur Fogg, who, to my surprise, looked up from his paper at me. What did you learn? He inquired. I told him of the rumblings of war from Vienna, but he seemed indifferent. I do not think war will break out the day after tomorrow, he observed, so I think we will be safe. I had nothing more to say. We arrived in Munich a few hours later. Plan. Okay, so where do I want to go? I want to get to Moscow, so I'm guessing I have to go through Warsaw somehow, or Minsk. So Warsaw and Minsk are my two targets. Maybe Budapest. Okay, well, let's just go back from here. Current location. Well, I guess we can keep looking because we got plenty of time because it's nighttime, so nothing's open. So Warsaw, Minsk. We might have to go to St. Petersburg, but hopefully not. Hopefully we can go straight to Moscow from. Although we are in Munich, we probably could go to Vienna. See, this takes us a long, long, long way to Vladivostok. It's hard to see where exactly we're going. So if we go around the entire, because this is kind of a straight line, it's not really a long route, you know what I mean? So I don't know if it wants me to travel like, in a perfect half, you know what I mean? Okay, well, I guess we'll fucking find a hotel, you fucking complainer. Jesus. What an asshole. The Franco-Prussian War had concluded but a year previously. Thus, I flaunted my French accent here in the Victor City. I had no interest in coddling other sensibilities. That is, until the concierge in our hotel quite deliberately dropped a mug of coffee into my lap. Quite a sensitive moment for poor Passepartout. I endured the insult with dignity. Later, Monsieur Fogg congratulated me on my forbearance, declaring simply, quietly, "Good show. Your character is now astute." I don't know what any of that means. I can see you're an unassuming sort, Passepartout. Let's explore. Hopefully that'll give us a route. Okay, so we can go to Berlin. There was a little daylight in Munich. The sky was shrouded in steam and oil fumes from the tractors and hydraulic excavators in the streets. I quickly returned to the safety of the cafe, not wanting to become covered head to toe in soot. My poor jacket would not survive such an indignity. Let's go to the market. European train timetable. Well, that's annoying. Wait. Actually, that's... What does that mean? Valuable in... I don't think we're going to be going to those. So I guess we'll skip. I mean, this is really useful. Although I guess we're kind of halfway through it at this point, so... What's the bank? What does that do? We visit the bank, Monsieur Fogg declared. You have additional funds? I am a gentleman. They would extend me credit if required, he replied. But do you suppose I put my entire fortune into a carpet bag under your supervision? I did not answer. I regarded the manager of the bank as we entered, a well-dressed, calm gentleman who greeted us with charming interest. You wish to withdraw funds, we were told. I warn you, it may take some time. Oh, boy. We cannot afford even a single day, I declared. We swept out of the bank. Thank my sister, she's not desperate. My master declared onwards. Okay. So, I think we're going to leave now. For, somewhere. I think we're just going to go to Vienna. The Emperor in Vienna is spoiling for war. Well... we gotta go. So we're gonna take a hit, I guess, of health or whatever. For inexplicable reasons, there was no way to reboard the Orient Express at Munich. Something strange to do with custom laws, though. I had little interest in such matters, since alternative transport was not difficult to find. We ended up cramming ourselves into a steam-powered car instead and chuffing along. Your relationship with Fogg has deteriorated slightly. Well, fuck you, Fogg. I have nothing to say. I don't think any of these are useful. I wouldn't believe it. Okay. How about Rome? Wow, what an asshole. I don't know why I bother. It was a pleasant enough ride, and our driver, one Mikhail Hertz, regaled us with stories to which I happily did not listen. The scenery came and went, and that was enough for me. As we arrived, the driver put out his hand to shake. I will be driving on to Budapest soon if you want. Probably not. Probably not. Pass the night here. Does that ever go up? We found a room in the newly opened Hotel Imperial in a suite built for Duke Philip of Württemberg's maidservant. The view along the Ringstrasse was impressive. Sure, Ringstrasse. And as I looked, I saw lines and lines of mechanical soldiers marching along the road. At their rear marched a group of musicians who played the strangest tune, all discord and atonality, a cruel and sour sound. Do I want to follow them? I closed the shutters to block the sound of the music and pulled down the blind. Monsieur Fogg seemed quite untroubled by it all, but... I was determined to find out their purpose. I hurried down to street level, and a musician at the back of the procession caught my eye. I beckoned him over. What do you want? What is this procession? I demanded. War is coming. We must prepare our borders. We are taking the train to Belgrade. Now get going before the soldiers see you. The threat was clear. I ran down a side alley, over a wall, and then limped my way back to the hotel of Monsieur Fogg, to whom I explained everything. Much to his displeasure. Why? Explore. Okay, I can get to Warsaw, so With what time I had during the day, I chose to scout around the train station. And quickly learned that the armies we have seen moving were departing for Belgrade. I loitered near a guard post to overhear what I could, learning that the shipment of cargo into Istanbul had already begun under cover of darkness. I returned to Fog deep in thought. This could be a way to cross Europe swiftly, but it could equally be a way to an early and shallow grave. I think we're just going to try to depart. I'm quite sure this departure could be altered. Negotiate. The Englishman's wardrobe should yield results. Most generous, no charge at 12 noon. Warsaw, gallant rider. Actually, wait. Before we go, let's go to the market. Can we get another suitcase? Like, it's showing me a price, but it won't let me buy it. Like, what? Oh, I'm supposed to put something in it. Okay. Maybe. Okay, let's just try that, and maybe... Okay, let's depart for Warsaw. Oh, okay, so I missed it, or what? Yeah, I guess I did. Okay. Antalya? Where's that? Let me just see where that is. We might pass it. I don't think we will, but maybe. Yeah, I don't think we will. Pyongyang. I know where that is. Okay, well, I guess we'll go to a hotel. With what remained of the day, I forwarded my master every service, providing him with fresh clothing. Yeah. Okay, Warsaw arrives today. Embark. There we go. It was not the Orient Express that took us northeast from Vienna towards Warsaw. That train traveled to exotic locations. We were destined for the gloomy cold of the north and to the paws of the bear of Russia. I fell into conversation with a Russian gentleman who, as he told me at great length, was making the long journey back to Vladivostok via Moscow on the Trans-Siberian Express. I asked him about Moscow. I asked him about the Trans-Siberian, and his ruddy face lit up. Now there is a train, he enthused, warming to the subject. It is capable of lifting off and levitating at higher speeds. The Tsar keeps it slow on purpose because he does not quite trust it. The train juddered. I asked him about Moscow, and he shrugged. A nice enough city to pass through, he said, but not one to stay in. Too easy to offend the Tsar and his loyalists there. He bid me farewell, and I returned to my compartment. Okay. Artificers' wonders dominate World's Fair show. Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to Warsaw. I'm not entirely sure what the goal of the game is, to be honest. If you have to go, because here's my fear. My fear is that we're going to go technically around the whole globe, but it's not going to be enough because we're not splitting it in half, you know what I mean? The train itself was comfortable enough and fast. We arrived in Warsaw before nightfall. So I'm hoping to get to Minsk from here. The evening jacket could earn us well here. Okay, let's go to the market first. Might want to buy that. And this. Oh my fuck. We'll just see what exactly... I don't really know what we're gonna have. So, I guess we'll just spend the night and wait to explore, because I don't know how many bags they're gonna support. So I don't want to buy a new bag and then... We walked the streets of Warsaw, feeling the air of a different continent all around. In less than 2 generations, the Tsars had made this little outpost all their own. They have made it much nicer, too. There are building works on every road, with great digging machines sitting idle during the day and coming to life in the evening, as they carve out sewage and water systems that will allow the city to grow to enormous size. I'm pretty sure that's not correct, but okay. Touch of Empire can do wonders, I remarked to Monsieur Fogg, but his eyebrow scolded me. No good will come of this, he replied. Only malignant growths and rust expand at such a rate. He shook his head sadly. When will people realize that only the English are fit to run an empire? I did not argue. What would have been the use? A gentleman lives in a gentler world. Explore. Okay. Hopefully we can get a good route to Minsk. Yes. Going out in the day, I encountered an incredible creature as tall as a house, with wide, swinging metal arms like a rampaging giant. I stared, gawping as the terrible machine stomped from foot to foot, slowly rotating, and then I saw that in his chest was a man using levers and switches to operate the colossal device. It was a gigantic walking exoskeleton. I watched him work. He operated a small lever in each hand which seemed to articulate the metal creature's arms. It was all entirely mechanical, but amplified his own movements, and so looked organic. I waved to him, and he looked down and tipped his cloth cap. What is this thing? I demanded. It's a Kodunki, he said, from Novorossiysk. They're shipping a few. They've shipped a few in to help us with the building work. From Novorossiysk, you say? It's a small town on the far side of the Black Sea, he replied. I don't know why they have a surplus of these things there. He pulled a lever and the machine drew back a massive arm. How does it work? There are 2 levers for each hand, and they work on ball sockets. I'd let you try, sir, but I must get on with my work. The drawn-back arm smashed into the wall, and the building fell into a cloud of dust. I jumped back. Excuse me, my friend called, but I must get back to work. What an incredible sight. Okay. I don't know why I did that. I haven't looked at the route yet. Okay, so Minsk. Just 2 bags, and we... Oh, for fuck's sake. Cold weather. This looks like make my master more uncomfortable. See, that's a problem. See, I'd love to buy this fur coat. What does that mean? 3 divided by 200 days. That doesn't mean anything to me. I'm gonna buy the fur coat, because it's going to be more useful, I think. So let's go back out, and we'll depart for, okay. Please. Depart for Minsk. Embark. Should we bother to put the fur coat from Russian? Okay, there we go. We clambered aboard the train. Monsieur Fogg settled in a far corner like a dusty old uncle, and I went to sit next to him, ready to attend to his wishes. He had none, of course, but to be left alone with his thoughts, whatever they were. So I rode in silence. I guess I'll try to converse with you. Greetings, Monsieur Krasotkin. Good evening, man of France. What are you? Now, what do you know about Minsk? Have you heard that you can get to Odessa from Minsk in the passenger carriage, but the fare is expensive? Minsk, Moscow. One can also travel this way to Moscow, I understand. You mentioned trains. I've been told Omsk is connected to Yursk by rail, but the fare is about 1,500 pounds. What the fuck? Moscow to Vladivostok. Vladivostok is the home of the Russian Pacific Fleet. Vladivostok to Honolulu. I don't know, but you can pick up harmonicas in Honolulu, extremely valuable in New Orleans. Pyongyang. I believe so. One can travel by fisher's boat, but the journey is a tiring one. Okay, well, I mean, we discovered some stuff. I don't know why I did that, because that's actually useless to me. I realized that it was kind of dumb, but we arrived at Minsk after nightfall and disembarked. Yes, okay. The accordion could earn us well here. Yes, I'm aware. That's why I bought it, you schmuck. Plan. Okay, so we are now in Minsk. We could go to Odessa. We might do well to do that, but the thing is, this route is so tempting, you know? It's very tempting to go through Russia, but then we have to go... Oh, boy, I really messed that up. Okay. So if we go straight this way... Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work necessarily. Because, see, there's this big ocean here. And I don't know necessarily that we can traverse that. So we might want to go further south and go through where there's at least some land. And circumnavigate the globe. Because we want to go through, I assume, the long way. I am kind of committed to the whole Russia thing, though. So I'm trying to go, like... where am I? Trying to go, like, to Vladivostok and then go across here to America. I don't know if I can do that, though, because that's a really long boat ride. Maybe to Honolulu first, actually. And then make landfall in San Francisco or San Pedro or something, and then go to Washington, and then go to Ponta Delgada, and then maybe up to Lisbon and back into Paris or London, I guess is where we're going to go. And I should probably go to sleep. I'm just going to try it because I'm invested now. A very cold newspaperman offered me a sip of Turkish coffee at a tram stop in Minsk. My grandfather was French, he said blandly. Then we are compatriots. I toasted him with my ceramic tumbler. I do not think so. He spat onto the ground vehemently. I did not know him. He was one of Napoleon's soldiers. Minsk was occupied by the Grand Army during the invasion. He did not speak in a particularly accusative tone, but any words I tried to say in reply coagulated at the back of my throat. I managed to choke out. An unfortunate business. Yes, war is unfortunate business, and yet, he sighed, I am here. So there's that. He gestured with his cup. You are traveling? We head from here to Moscow, I think. He nodded. Look out for the police. They are giving themselves more powers every day. Our tram wheezed into the stop, and the conductor opened the doors. The newspaperman boarded. Enjoy your coffee, he added, without looking in my direction. I just had to wait for the next tram. But my dreams that night were haunted by cavalry and cannon and soldiers with smiles like sabers. Okay. Let's just explore, just to see. I took a few hours to explore, investigating the various options for how we might continue our journey. Let's go to the market and just see what we've got. We want to sell this for $9.90, I guess. We want to keep the fur coat, but we probably want to get something else. Of interest to luxurious, posh, and prim types. That might be useful. I'm gonna get that just because, I don't know, it just seems like a good thing to have. Let's depart for Moscow. Oh boy. This will be bothersome experience. Should take... Oh, so it's fine. Let's go. Fuck it. The train pulled out from Minsk station well after nightfall. Monsieur Fogg had taken to tapping his watch every time we began a new journey, as though he was recording the time of departure through some fantastical spring-operated signal. Perhaps he was sending a message to whomever it was back in London, persuaded him on this curious journey of ours. Relations with Fogg have improved slightly. Okay. There was little time to do anything before total darkness enveloped the train. Converse. What happened there? Converse. Greetings, mademoiselle. Good evening. Ask Sophia about Moscow. Pray tell me about Moscow. I prefer the Kremlin to St. Vasile's onion domes. That. Did you realize that the quickest way to Vladivostok from here is through Irkutsk? Okay. Sure. It was once Chinese, I think. Honolulu. I wish I knew, but you can pick up buffalo hides in Honolulu. Extremely valuable in Omaha. I don't really know where Omaha is. Apparently they make steaks, though. Morning came, and we were still crossing the Russian countryside, the train moving on its slow and steady way. I spent the time talking to other passengers, hoping to find options for our next leg. I met a charming Muscovite artist. And had a pleasant, if unproductive, conversation that whiled the hours away, I guess. Finally, we pulled into the stone edifice that was Moscow Station and disembarked. Did my character go down? The pocket altimeter should be quite valuable here. Market, okay. Whoops. Okay. Part of the Gentleman Traveler set. Okay. False passport. Forged Englishman's passport in the name of Jack Passenger. I don't think I care. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit and just plan. Apparently I want to go directly to Vladivostok. Fur coat from a Russian gentleman's wardrobe should spur them on. Continue. We can't afford the ticket, let alone anything more. Oh. Well, that's unfortunate. I didn't think of that. So I guess we'll get... Okay. Hopefully we can get a withdrawal. Moscow was not a comfortable city for a Frenchman. A local composer had just written a piece people were calling the 1812 Overture, commemorating the Russian victory over Napoleon's invading Grand Army in that fateful year. Patriotic passions were at a fever pitch. So I stayed very sensibly indoors. Alas, my friends, my solitude was quickly interrupted by an officious rap on the door. The two men in clothes so plain they were most certainly police officers invited themselves in. I had heard of the Okhrana, the newly formed secret police which investigated revolutionaries and malcontents. My luck, it seemed, had deserted me, so I resolved to... make my own. They asked me my name and purpose, and I answered deferentially, keeping to the truth and not raising my eyes from the floor. They seemed skeptical about our journey, and I could not blame them. Anyone with half a brain in his head would wonder at our breakneck journey around the world. At length they nodded. One removed a curious monocle and placed it in his pocket. It seems you are truthful. Crazy, but truthful. Why you travel through Russia, we do not understand. Perhaps you are heading for Vladivostok? Perhaps you have some advice for us? Perhaps we do. Vladivostok is closed to all but military personnel. If you're thinking of going that way, choose again. They proceeded to rummage through our cases, tossing our possessions in all directions, but evidently finding nothing of interest. Do not stay in Moscow too long. Russian air does not suit Frenchmen. I took their warning to heart and quite looked forward to the departing. That's annoying. I spent a few hours in exploration, learning ways in which we might travel onwards. Gotta wait for a minute. Go to the bank. Regarded the manager. $1,000 tomorrow. Okay, well, we'll spend the night. Hopefully we can actually go. As night fell, I did some minor alterations to our clothing to better prepare us for the oncoming. Okay. Funds will be ready to collect when the bank opens. Tapping the clock will skip times forwards. Oh. Return to the bank at opening time to collect our funds, and then we are ready to proceed once more. Depart. Whoops. Okay, so did we lose this whole... Fuck it. I guess we'll pass the night again. Before retiring. Okay. It is smaller also. Okay. Depart. Embark. The bell in the stuccoed and whitewashed Moscow station gave its third and final clang, and the platform erupted into frenzy. We boarded calmly and found ourselves in a small cabin with heated water and even a shaving mirror. Your character is now dependable. I do hope you're not spending too much Passepartout. That money was to last all the way around. Well, you know, it sucks. I see your ticket. Oh, I despise this job. Vladivostok. Hardly seems important. Okay. Yokohama. Indeed, Vladivostok is linked to Yokohama by Korean trader, but it's slow going. Honolulu. I don't know, but you can pick up revolvers in Honolulu. Extreme. Okay. Okay. That's something at least. We were away. I remembered the advice from the man on the train to Warsaw. That the Trans-Siberian was capable of higher speeds, and it was admitted and determined to find my way to the engine car to talk to the driver. I suggested a wager, and the man's eyes narrowed. What sort of wager? I don't believe this train is solidly built. I don't believe the tracks are suitable for modern transport, I declared. I believe this train travels so slowly because of it. Slowly? My good little Frenchman, I do not think you realize how fast we can go. I most certainly do not. The driver stared at me and then shook his head. I work as I am told to work. I cannot risk the displeasure of a tsar for you. My bed that night swayed along with the motion of the train from Moscow to Karmitskaya. Was a journey of over 2,000 or 5,000 miles, and we had only just begun. Earned a little spending money through selling some of our possessions, and I probably will have to. Vladivostok. I hear the commercial port has been relocated. It is now a military town. I don't think any of these are useful. We've heard that the only bank has gone bankrupt. But now, tell me now, is this train going to Moscow? No. Oh dear, so much for our westward trip around the world. Nonetheless, I've heard Lake Baikal is lovely at this time of year. Honolulu. Did you know the quickest way to Honolulu from here is through Yokohama? No, I didn't know that, actually. Vladivostok to San Francisco. Look here, the fastest way to San Francisco from here is through Yokohama. Yeah, I guess probably through Honolulu? Fuck, this is really... Our fellow passengers were a mix of convicts, political radicals, prospectors, businessmen, and military officers. In the midst of this was a young lady, Rosa. Modishly dressed? What does that mean? In a rich military-style jacket and fur toque. I made her acquaintance only too easily. She was desperate for a sympathetic ear and told me her great secret. She'd fallen in love with a peasant boy in 4th class called Jack, by which I understood that they had shared a glance of extreme passion in the baggage car. Ah, to be so young again. I resolved to keep an eye on their burgeoning locomotive romance. We crossed the Volga in the early afternoon, crawling slowly over a bridge perched on high stone pillars. The devout Russians stood and crossed themselves while looking out over the water. I could just hear the lilting, rhythmic oar-beating songs of the... Oh, that's part of it. Hear the lilting, rhythmic, oar-beating songs of the Volga boatmen over the whistle of the steamboats. Oh, God, it's so fucking long. Across the Urals today, at the risk of sounding like a jaded traveler, I must admit that they are hardly magnificent. A heaving up of earth and forested hills for a few hundred miles. We stopped for an hour at Ekaterinburg, where I spotted the young lady slipping off to 4th class. Her worried mama followed soon after, demanding whether anyone had seen her daughter Rosa. I made an excuse for Rosa, gesturing discreetly in the direction of the lavatories. They were mixed-sex conveniences, and a cause of much inconvenience, truth be told. Her mama was convinced, totally, and settled down to her luncheon with gusto. Rosa returned a half-hour hence, cheeks flushed out, but otherwise unharmed. She cast me a grateful glance. I could only hope her little amour would not blossom into outright scandal. Thank you, my good man. I feel better. Yes. You better. Time on board trains takes on a meditative quality. I visited the library car and met Goland, the daughter of a Mongol chieftain who was poring over a thick volume of algebra. I confessed myself surprised by your choice of reading, but she shrugged. I must study algebra if I am to be an engineer in the Imperial Army of Russia. I wish to leave behind my ancestors' warrior past. It is a new world, I observed. We may remake ourselves as we like. She laughed, delighted. Just so. She folded the book closed. You have traveled, Mashir. They call us barbarians, don't they? She asked. I felt sorry for her and wanted to soften the truth, which is that people across the world are at their most eloquent when denouncing other people whom they have never met. They do, I agreed, and did not try to ease the weight of my words. I have heard it said. She leaned forward, eyes shining. The truth is, there's more going on in my country than most outsiders know. We are growing fast as a people. What do you mean? I asked, intrigued. This is the age of progress, she replied, tapping her books, of systems and of thermodynamics. And my people, we have discovered some very interesting things. I was intrigued and leaned forward to hear more, but the girl shook her head. I won't tell you, she said and laughed. I will show you tomorrow night on the deck. I will be there. I nodded. We conversed until supper, and she presented me with her family's Suld, a Mongolian horsetail banner. I do not have any need of my past where I am going. You have it. Do with it what you will. Your character is now sharp. I don't know what that means. Is that lower or higher? The Mongol Suld should fetch a good price in Yokohama should we decide to sell it. Well, that's good, because we're definitely going to Yokohama. I could not wish for a superior valet. Omsk today. We decanted. A full score of British, Dutch, and German merchants, and took on more military officers who cleared an entire first-class carriage for the use of a mysterious couple. I then caught a brief glimpse of the man before the carriage door slammed. He had pale brown skin and the eyes of a scholar, but was dressed the fashion of the Ottoman court rather than the Russian Imperium. I was fairly overset with curiosity, but it would be several days before I encountered the couple again. The hour grew late and my meeting with Goland, the mathematician, approached. Monsieur Fogg watched my bustling about our cabin with suspicion. You look as though you are planning an escape. I am meeting someone. Monsieur Fogg's eyebrow twitched in that manner of his, but he said nothing, returning to his newspaper. I breathed a sigh of relief and hurried from the cabin to meet Goland on the viewing platform of the train. You came, she said. I am glad. You wanted to show me something. She looked at me in the eye for a moment, then looked away. Of course, yes. Taking my hand, she walked along the edge of the rail, the wind tugging her hair into a wild dance. The train's lamp was a single candle in an endless night. Lifting my hand past her cheek, she pointed my finger out into the desert. There. I saw nothing except evening stars. I shook my head and Goland laughed. There, she exclaimed. How many stars do you know that move? She was right. One gleaming dot on the dark horizon was lifting upwards. Goland squeezed my hand. That star is the Garuda launching, she replied. It flies at night to keep it a secret, but now you know it. What is the Garuda? I asked. The world has been made small by airships, Goland replied. They pull everyone closer together, but our Garuda is faster still. It will turn this world into a single teeming city, and Urga will be at this new world's heart. It sounds most formidable, I told her. Now you see why I am studying, she replied. Everything about this new world will be different, and I will help shape it. This is really cheesy. You will rise like that star, I told her. Flatterer. Her dark eyes flashed with hot anger. A moment later, she stood on her tiptoes. I took a step back. And I took a step back. Golan touched her hand to my cheek and took my refusal with good humor. I have shared secrets with you, and that makes us friends, she said with a smile. Good night, Passepartout. Alright. You are most entertaining, Passepartout. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Rosa absconded once again, and her mother caused quite a ruckus in the breakfast car. Apparently the girl is a fiancée to a rich, rather stiff-looking German merchant who boarded the Omsk. I predict this comedy of errors will come to no happy end. As the sun set over the taiga, Monsieur Fogg expressed a mild boredom with the monotonous view from the carriage windows. My own, rather more dire feelings may be extrapolated from this foggish understatement. Phileas Fogg attempts round-the-world adventure. Where are we? Oh my God, we're only halfway there. We crossed the halfway mark of our journey today. In the morning, we wound up the Angara Valley towards the mining camp of Irkutsk, the great city of Siberia. I saw Golan disembarking with her suitcase of books, and I waved politely enough from the window. She ignored me and met a man on the platform, an uncle perhaps, who scooped her up with great familiarity and led her away to a horse, parked neatly in the yard beyond. We waited while the luggage was unloaded by leisurely porters and moujiks until the whistle blew and the train's engines would wound up once more. Our journey continued, and by afternoon we had reached the magnificent expanse of Lake Baikal, as clear as the finest crystal, bounded by flower-banked cliffs on the western shore and containing a thriving, raucous population of freshwater seals. The track ended at the lake's edge, but the great train showed no signs of slowing or stopping. I began to feel, as my master would say, a little perturbed. Now, my friends, this next sentence will seem to you the invention of a madman, but I assure you it is utter, unvarnished truth. We drove straight from the shore onto the clear water of the lake, causing barely a ripple. I looked out of the compartment window and saw the wheels pulled up, and zoot alors, the train was hovering in the air through some unseen mechanism. I stayed in our carriage in the hold for the duration of the crossing and had the singularly odd misfortune of experiencing seasickness in a locomotive. I contrived a meeting with the mysterious couple, though to be strictly accurate, I knocked over the red-haired woman, entirely accidentally. She was very game about the whole unfortunate event and introduced herself as Madame Ksenia Petrovna Volkova. I apologized profusely to the point where she clearly felt rather sorry for me and invited me back to her heavily guarded carriage. Her companion turned out to be an engineer by the name of Sinan Yahudi, who seemed lonely and eager to converse in any language other than Russian. He had defected from the Ottoman sultans to the Russian Tsars some years ago, and was the genius behind the rapid construction of the Trans-Siberian Railway. He seemed reluctant to talk of it, and so I changed the subject to lighter topics. He had a particular fascination with minerals and could hold forth on them for hours. I listened eagerly, nodding and exclaiming at the more obscure facts which he revealed to me with relish. He rummaged in his bags and presented me with a chunk of glittering green malachite. This was mined in the Urals. I want you to have it, Passepartout, he said. It has some value. I hope it will be of use to you. The hour grew late and I took my leave. Madame Volkova thanked me for entertaining her companion and wanted me to say nothing of what Monsieur Yahudi had told me to anyone, with a smile that belied her light-hearted tone. A strange day. The malachite chunk should fetch a good price in San Pedro if we don't find a use for it. Let's take care of Fogg here. There's little to report of the outside world, so a word today on Russian eating habits. More specifically, the Russian distaste for regular meal times. I met a fellow Frenchman today who said to me, the Russian meal is a guide to the Russian character. I begged him to explain further, and he obliged me. The guiding principle of the national cuisine is that all dishes must be capable of being served at any time the eater feels disposed. He sacrifices his finer susceptibilities to his love of freedom. I resolve to keep this thought in mind on future approaches to the dining car. If our locomotive suppers are not triumphs of culinary art, they are at least signal examples of logistical achievement. Oh my fuck. Just look at this. Just look at this. See, I don't know what is going to happen when we get there, because it says it's closed. Well, I guess we'll just... We pulled into Karimskaya at noon. From Karimskaya, it was possible to branch onto the Chinese Eastern Railway to Beijing. Where's Beijing? Do we want to go there? We might actually want to go there because Vladivostok just seems like a pain in the ass to deal with. So we might want to go from Beijing to Pyongyang to Yokohama. And I don't know where we go from there, to be honest with you. But right now I'm just gonna... And we took advantage of the opportunity, slipping from the train onto the cold platform. Okay. Looks like we can complete our Russian costume here for protecting against the cold. Now that we're pretty much out of Russia, sure. Chunk of malachite mined from the Urals. Iron ore, valuable in Acapulco, Honolulu, and Manila. I think we're going to go to Honolulu. So, hang on. Yeah, I'm not going to get rid of that yet. I might get rid of this railway cab. Yeah, I think I'm just going to get rid of that and then put this in there. Because we're probably going to go to Honolulu, and even if we didn't, it's not really that expensive. So, what we will, however, do is there's no hotel here. Fuck my life. Well, that's not ideal. There was no moon at Karimskaya, and not even a barking dog marred the silence of the luminous Siberian night. The only lit building bore the copper lily of the Artificers Guild. Fuck it. I knocked at the back door, eager to find company to help pass the long, cold night. A dwarf with long black hair, rouged lips, and thick brass goggles opened the door. I bowed and introduced myself as a foreigner to Karimskaya, looking for conversation. Welcome. Come in and out of the cold, then. I'm Nadezhda Yefimova. We walked through a squalid corridor into a round room lit with bright electrical lamps. The artificer sprawled on low sofas and greeted me with beery enthusiasm. Okay. A human form automaton ushered me to a seat and handed me a drink with mechanical precision. I took it cautiously, not entirely at ease with the creature's too wide ceramic smile. The hours passed quickly in good company. We shared many outlandish tales. I complimented their hospitality, and Nadezhda clapped me on the arm. It has been a pleasure sharing our fine our fire with you, Passepartout. She reached in a pocket and took out a copper medallion with the Artificer's lily stamped upon it. Take this, present it to any member of the Artificer's Guild, and they will be bound to offer you help. I thanked them for their generosity and wended my way back through the dark streets of Karamskaya, a city lit only by the brightness of the stars and the pale, ethereal glow of the northern lights. I'm not even going to bother exploring. We are currently there, and we can go to Pyongyang. So I think we're just going to go there. Hang on. How much is... Okay, that's 170. That's 150. Yeah, there's no reason. So they're asking for yeah, it's more than we can pay. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Okay. Okay, well, we're gonna go there, but let's check out the market. Did we... Okay, we already bought everything from the market that we can get. Explore, I guess. I walked the streets while discovering the possibilities for how we might make progress, and found nothing. Hopefully this thing will go up, yeah. We took a room and settled in, and I washed and hung our linen. I helped the kitchen staff to clean, earning 105 pounds in fees and tips, as well as overhearing from her that you could pick up wax cylinders and scrap with music in Honolulu. You can sell for profit in Atlanta. Most intriguing. Karamskaya. Depart for Pyongyang. Embark. Cold weathers. The fur coat. Okay. That was a good investment, that fur coat, boy. We boarded a Chinese steam train at Karamskaya station. It was a smooth journey till we reached Zabaikowsk, where there was a change of gauge from the Russian to the Chinese rail. To relieve the tedium of waiting, I brought my master tea in his usual fashion. Well steeped with a dash of milk, served just shy of boiling, he took a long sip and settled back into his green leather seat with the smallest of contented sighs. Converse. Greetings, Monsieur Lagarde. Good day, Monsieur. Pyongyang. There are many Americans in Pyongyang, I've heard. Well, that's good. Pyongyang to Yokohama. Absolutely, you can get to Yokohama from Pyongyang, but Korean trader. But the fare is well beyond most travelers. Fuck. Yokohama to Honolulu. Look here, some buyers will pay well for high-grade iron ore from Honolulu. This is not going to work as well as I thought it would. We restarted our journey a few hours later, only for it to be yet again interrupted by Chinese customs officials at Manzhouli. They were as brusque as the Russian officials. Clearly, the bonds of bureaucracy overrode those of nation. They stamped our papers with their square ivory seals, leaving a distinctive red cinnabar mark. Hopefully that's not bad. Converse. What is your wish, master? Journey. How we cross the Pacific, Monsieur. There are many options, but which one we will choose will decide our route across the Americas. Health. And roaring health, but we must make haste. Very good. Okay. Okay, so I guess it's good. So we can get across the Atlantic. It's just kind of... Today we reached Mukden, famed for the King Imperial Palace. Alas, there was no time for exploration. And here our train divided, half going west to Pyongyang and the other half turning east to Beijing. I don't know why that would strengthen our relationship, but whatever. Converse. Greetings, Monsieur Lagarde. Pyongyang. The Chinese and Japanese vie for influence over Korea. There. On the subject of steamships, I've heard my uncle had a friend who worked aboard the cargo steamer from Lima to Santiago. Honolulu. Okay. Honolulu. Okay, well, that was not really useful. Well, that's fucking useless. Like, entirely useless. Okay, So we want to go to Yokohama from here, I think. And from there we want to go to Honolulu, I believe. So that's... well, we'll see. I spent this day attending Monsieur Fogg, who had managed to find a week-old English periodical which proposed a new fashion of tying one's cravat. I ventured that... The traditional method was tried and true. This smacked to me of frippery. Monsieur Fogg considered my opinion thoughtfully. Indeed, he said at length. I practiced the new technique before bed. A gentleman's gentleman can never be too prepared. Okay, it looks like we're about to pull into Pyongyang. We reached Pyongyang in the dark. I could see little of the platform, much less of a city. The soldiers guarding the station seemed nervous and unfed. Monsieur Fogg seemed not to notice the tension in the air. But I had a presentiment of unpleasantness that would not leave me. My friends, I am not a superstitious man, but I felt a chill that night. We shared a carriage to our hotel with a group of talkative Protestant missionaries who blessed us at great and exhaustive length before we managed to escape to our beds. As I drifted to sleep, I wondered what Pyongyang would look like in the morning light. There seems to be no departures today. We should explore a little. Why are these fucking routes from Pyongyang so garbage? Pyongyang was a battleground between competing groups of Chinese and Japanese businessmen. The Koreans seemed to regard both sides with wariness, and European faces even more so. There was a surprising number of Americans on the streets, but then Americans, so it was said, were perennially drawn to opportunities for commerce. After all my concerns upon arrival, the city turned out to have a most restful and charming atmosphere, air thick with the smell of frying river mullet. Okay. School children swatting at each other with colorful umbrellas, women in chima jigori shopping and fluttering silk fans at their bows. Oh, what the fuck. Even my master summoned a remark upon its, as he put it, adequacy. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I don't think that's useful. Is there a bank? It's Sunday, so I think we should go to the bank and get some money, because we're real low, and we probably will need it. With the last light of the evening, I helped the kitchen clean. Yeah, it didn't really do much for me, but... guess I'll wait a little bit. It's not really going to help much, but it'll at least open up some room. Bank. I regarded the manager. Do I want to wait 3 days? Because I definitely need money. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so on Thursday. Alright, so we have plenty of time. Okay, so we don't want to go to Vladivostok. That's retarded. I definitely don't want that. We want to go to Yokohama. So we need 880. And we can have 4 bags worth of shit. So let's just go to the market and see what we've got. I can't really afford any of this shit anyway, so let's just pass the night, and hopefully I'll get a chance to kept ourselves occupied. As night fell, I helped the kitchen staff to clean. Alright, that's the only way I can afford the hotel, so. Plan. Arrives Saturday. I'm gonna miss it. So what does that mean? Am I just boned or what? Okay, that's great. Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, well. Just wait a couple seconds. Okay, well, I guess we gotta wait more. Yes, they are. They definitely are. Yeah, so we're definitely going to Yokohama. I expect this departure could be altered. Do we really want to burn all that? For an extra day? I don't think so, my friend. So I'm going to go to a hotel, and I'm just going to wait it out. And yeah, let's do that. Whoops. So, are we ready? Tomorrow, okay. So let's go to a hotel again, and maybe we'll just talk to the hotelier or whatever. With what remained of the day, I spent a few hours walking around, found nothing of particular interest. Of course. Depart. Embark. This looks like a bothersome journey. Well, fuck me. Not ideal, but we took passage on a Korean vessel crewed by a mix of Koreans, Mongolians, and Siberians who regarded Monsieur Fogg with grave curiosity. I considered charging £1 for a look at him. I might have made £20. They continued to goggle at my master in mild disbelief until he retreated below deck with the slightest of furrows etching his brow. Wait. Maniac Phileas Fogg, now in debt, says Bank. So I'm guessing I can't do that again. For the first day aboard, we kept ourselves mostly to ourselves. The crew seemed busy with their tasks, and I was happy to have fewer of those myself. Monsieur Fogg was his usual impervious self, however, and made his calculations and read his newspaper. Meanwhile, the boat steamed onwards. Yeah, he's going to take a pretty significant hit, but I can help that. One of the cabin girls, Elena, spoke good English and was attached to us as a translator, though she created as much conversation as she explicated. Do you know my parents? I doubt it since I only just met you. Elena nodded. My father was a Russian officer, maybe, I think, and Mama comes from a famous Cossack family. They're all soldiers. Your mama was a soldier? I blinked. She dressed as a boy and joined the Cossack host. Eleanor wrinkled her nose. My auntie and grandmama were soldiers too, Mama says. But I have to earn enough money for my own horse and armor before I can join. I blinked down at the little cabin girl, rather at a loss as to how I should respond. But that's terrible, I exclaimed, much to her consternation. You poor girl. Mama runs the boiler room. All the sailors are frightened of her, she told me rather wistfully. One day I will be like her. Elena made a mock fierce face, and I pretended to quake in terror until we both began laughing uproariously. More seriously, a friend in the boiler room was useful. I wondered idly, but aloud. It would be possible to speed up our arrival in Yokohama. I will ask my mother. With that, she hurried away. Elena knocked on the door unreasonably early in the morning, eyes bright. The price of arriving today, she informed in clear tones that suggested she was repeating a memorized script, is £800, and you can boil your heads. Boiling our heads it is, Elena nodded seriously. I'll bring you the water from the engine room. She replied quite seriously. I think perhaps she thought we were going to do some cooking. Elena laughed as I hung over the ship's rail to get a better view of Yokohama as we neared the port. She gave me a hug goodbye, which surprised me, though her mother watched me with hard eyes throughout our exchange. We weighed anchor as the sun set. It lit the foreign flags in the harbor with bright fire as it dipped below the horizon. The Mongols sold could earn us well here. Market. Bam. Electric wallet, an unstealable wallet attached to the inside of the pocket by elastic. That doesn't bode well, does it? Might go ahead and buy that. That's not useful. Probably not useful. I'm not gonna sell that for sure. Iron ore. So we want to get to Honolulu. That's what we want. So let's just look at what we've got. Yeah, we want to get there. So I guess we have to explore. New routes discovered. Really like to get to Honolulu. I don't know that you can go to Honolulu. It was hard to believe that Yokohama had only relatively recently opened to foreigners. There was an entire foreigners district not far from the waterfront where it was as common to hear Chinese or Russian as Japanese. There were several varieties of English to choose from as well, though. Mr. Fogg would have barely deigned, I don't know what that word means, to include the nasal tongue of the American merchants. I noticed a Japanese man watching the scene with a look of intense concentration and scribbling in a sketchbook. I leaned in for a look. He was drawing a stylized picture of the foreign quarters with quick pen strokes, which stopped abruptly as my shadow fell over the drawing. He looked up, clearly irritated. Do you mind? He said, his accent an unholy mix of Dutch, French, and English. I am making a drawing for a woodcut. Why does that American appear drunk? I wondered aloud, and he covered his drawing jealously. It is an artistic impression of the foreigners, he stressed. What is certainly artistic, I allowed. The scene on the page was much more lively than the merchants haggling and their wives and children riding about in carriages. You are very strange people, he pronounced, after a brief silence. So are you, I exclaimed, to his vast, untempered amusement. He colored one of the women's skirts lovingly, his hand on the page much gentler and kindler than his voice had been. Finally, he thrust the paper in my direction, assuring me that it was only a preliminary sketch. I accepted gracefully, charmed that he had chosen to bestow a gift upon a near stranger. I stored it carefully. It was a fine souvenir of Yokohama. The Yokohama sketch should fetch a good price in San Pedro, should we decide to sell it. I guess we'll go to the hotel. Really hoping to go to Honolulu. As night fell, I spent a while talking to the hotelier to find out what I could, but gathered little of use. Well, fuck you. There's never... See, I can go backwards, but what good does that do me? And I mean, I guess you can go to San Francisco via boat, but that's skipping over Honolulu, which I had hoped to go to. The quickest way to Honolulu is through Yokohama. That's great, but where? How? Like, guess we'll go to the hotel again. Whoops. Before turning in for the night. God, I keep doing that. I went out to explore a little, enjoying the sights and blah blah blah. Yeah, still nothing. Well, I'm not going to Manila, dude. That's not... There's no point. Let's, like, I don't understand. It said you can go to Honolulu from here. 4,000? Fuck my life. Maybe we are going to Manila. Yeah, I think we're just gonna go to Manila, because clearly... The Sugawara was an Imperial Japanese steamship designed by French engineers and crewed by naval conscripts drawn from all 4 occupations. Captain Hirosu bowed slightly greeting, and I... gave her a deeper bow of respect, which caused her to raise an approving eyebrow. "Welcome aboard," she told us, as the crew raced about readying the ship for departure. "With God's grace, we will have a swift journey." Verse. You know, Lizzie, this sucks. This just sucks. All I know is that the entire population of Pitcairn Island was founded from the mutineers of the HMS Bounty. Now anyway, are you close with your family? No. It's painful to be separate, is it not? Panama City. I believe that merchants in Burlington will pay extremely well for sugarcane from Panama City. But they do. I encountered Captain Hirosu on the deck in the morning, and I noticed that she wore a katana and a beautifully worked sheath. "That is a beautiful weapon," I said reverently, having been swept away by the recent Parisian fashion for Japonisme. Captain Hirosu ducked her head a little. "It is not a military issue, Gunto," she admitted. "It has personal value to me." I made a sound of encouragement, but she did not take the cue to continue. "Ah, well. There would be enough time to get to know the captain better on our journey to Manila." In the morning, I saw Captain Hirosu praying at the little Protestant chapel beside the gallery. "What do you pray for, Captain?" I asked. "I pray for the health and long life of Emperor Meiji," she said, so fervently that the commonplace words rang with truth. "He looks to the west, and thus towards progress." I considered her words. "You are a product of this progress?" Her hand closed over the hilt of her katana. 5 years ago, it was illegal for a peasant or a woman to wear a sword. Now Emperor Meiji has given me a warship. "Yet you still wear a samurai's katana," I pointed out. A look of sadness crossed Captain Hirosu's face. "It was my grandfather's. The men of my family are all samurai." "They must be very proud of you." "No. Captain Hirosu closed her eyes. My father's still loyal to his daimyo and fights against the Emperor. You fight against your own family? I whispered, shocked. I requested a foreign posting so I would not be sent to battle the rebels. The captain looked troubled. But if my emperor sends me, I must go. What does your mother think? That my father and I are fools, no doubt. The captain's eyes lit with rueful laughter. Still, she rather likes the Sugawara. An officer came to fetch Captain Hirosu away from some pressing duty, and I left with my whirling thoughts. Manila Harbor was a desolate, desperate-looking place. The Sugawara was a regal sight as she pulled up to the docks. Good health to your emperor, Captain, I called as we disembarked. And you, she replied, do not drink the water. Well, there you go. New routes discovered. Okay. Good. Airship to Honolulu, maybe? Yes, it looks like it goes through Honolulu. Fuck, that was lucky. We arrived at the Spanish-governed capital of Manila at a most inopportune time. The city had recently suffered the depredations of a major typhoon, and the efforts at rebuilding had been stalled by an outbreak of the dreaded cholera morbus. It originated with sailors of the steamer Aeolus from a nearby town of Zamboanga. That was the local rumor in any case. Infected establishments were burned daily by the sanitary board, with our hotel one of the casualties. We relocated near to the telephone exchange, taking the mechanical horse-pulled tram. Concerned with the possibility of infection, I ensured that Monsieur Fogg ate only from kitchens who avoided all traces of the disease. From our window I could see carts piled high with dead being taken to the mountain to be burned, rather than interred in a churchyard, which put me in a morbid frame of mind. It does not do well to dwell on such matters, however, so I attempted to put the considerations behind me, but the city smells of disease, and I will be glad to leave. Market. Whoops. That's good. Alright. Alright, did that. Let's go to the hotel. He's really not doing well. We took a room and settled in, and I afforded my master every service. Oh man. Okay, depart to Honolulu. That would be good. 730. Okay, let's look at this. Rough skies would be a wearisome option, but fuck. Well, we're going, so. We boarded the Reina Cristina, a Spanish Torres Quevedo type airship. Its gondola shaped to resemble one of the infamous Spanish galleons of previous centuries. And is richly outfitted with Philippine hardwood furniture, Fijian silk curtains, and lacquered ornamental automata imported from China. My cabin resembled a fashionable salon more than an airship berth. Monsieur Fogg looked a little pale and unwell, but I reasoned he would quickly improve, now that we were away from the disease-ridden city of Manila. Yeah, we gotta care for him all the time here, because it's really bad. Our journey to Honolulu would take 4 days. The airship would refuel and go on without us. From there, we had other plans. I mean, maybe. Filipino crew spoke a mix of Tagalog and Spanish, all mixed in with Lascar sailor's cant, which utterly fascinated me, though I did not have the skills to understand it. Don't bother trying to learn it, the captain remarked in elegant Spanish. You need a sailor's heart to do so. Do you know it? I asked slyly. I am the captain of the ship you are traveling upon, he replied, with a glitter in his dark, thick-lashed eyes. You should hope I have a sailor's heart. I think you do. I could not help giving him a smile, which he returned rather rakishly. Truly, he said, I meet the most remarkable people as captain of an airship. Monsieur Fogg looked shivering and weak. There's definitely something amiss. Wow, fuck me. Greetings, First Mate. San Pedro, sure. Surely that would not be possible. Pitcairn Island. Well, fuck. The portrait of King Amadeo I hung in one of the relatively unused quarters of the gondola, from which I surmised that the captain was only indifferently devoted to his monarch, which I was exploring in the hope of finding a secret or two. Sure. And indeed, I stumbled across a small room set with a crucifix and an altar. Clearly, someone aboard was literally a closet Christian. Over dinner, the captain told me about Honolulu, where we would stop on the morrow, if I believed his telling. It was a giddy paradise that could barely be real. Monsieur Fogg's condition appeared to be growing worse. As we settled down for the night, I was struck by an unrelated thought. Monsieur Fogg, the dateline. I have altered our watch already, Monsieur Fogg replied calmly. Did you think I might forget? My master was, of course, correct. With an eye such as his, it was unthinkable that he might miss such a detail. We reached a point directly opposite Greenwich, where the hours we had lost in traveling around the earth were added back, a whole extra day. You don't feel that comfortable. We arrived in Honolulu Bay in good time, and the crew landed us, then deflated the envelope to refill it. It was a while before we could do our thing, so I spent the time walking the beach, watching sharks frolicking in the crystal water. After Manila, this place was a paradise on earth. Then we were finally discharged from our duty as passengers, and the airship lifted away into the sky. Good gracious, this is rather exhausting than I anticipated. Yes, it is. Okay. Mark it. His health is not great. Monsieur Fogg cast up his accounts, as the English say, all over a shrub, and then fell into a feverish daze. We were forced to stay put. The local doctor says my master has contracted cholera and must rest until he is recovered. Cholera, no doubt, our stay in Manila is responsible for his malady. Well, I mean, I tried. Is that game over, or what? My wit's end, my friend. My master cannot seem to keep down a bite of food or a sip of water. He bears it all with uncomplaining silence. Even as he vomits, he does so with dignity. Monsieur Fogg decided he had dallied long enough, and attempted to leave the motel. Alas, it was not 5 minutes before I had to make a dash for the conveniences. How long will this last? Well, this is a problem. I spent the morning coaxing my master to drink a sip of water, then another. I am not a child, Passepartout, he said sternly, but then drinks meekly. I believe he is returning to health. Indeed, I see color in his cheeks once more. Monsieur Fogg's fever broke this morning. He's lost a good deal of weight and is still a little unsteady. I'll have to be more careful of his health in the future. Thank you for your tending, Passepartout, he said simply, adjusting his cravat. Now, it is past time we left this place, don't you agree? I'm sure I look as terrible as you now, Passepartout. We can't go to San Pedro? Wait, we can go to San Francisco, though. It is $1,000 fucking dollars. Fuck. And it's an airship again, so that's not great. Or no, it's just a boat. So we need to go to the bank, maybe? I mean, if we can even do that. I don't think we can. Check out a few conversations. Okay. Hotel. I don't even know if we're going to be able to do anything at the bank. Found a local doctor. Attend to my poor master. A mild fever, I'd say 3 days to recover to full strength. It was too long. Left. Okay, well, I guess I'll go to the bank and see what we can do, because we're running low on funds here, guys. Damn. As night fell, I afforded to my master every service. Ensuring he had a fresh tea with the hopes that he would have a comfortable night. Okay, well, it's not the worst. He's back up to 45 now. We're going to go back to the bank and collect our money. Plan. There's no way to get to San Pedro, apparently. That's $1,000. We can barely afford that, but I guess we kind of have to. I mean, where does this go? It goes to Panama City. It's 21 fucking hundred, dude. How the fuck do you... See, because once we get mainland, I assume the prices are going to go down. But then the price of going from here to Paris, from New York to Paris perhaps, is probably going to be pretty fucking steep. And we're running super low on money. I've tried my best, but we're, you know... Fuck. Okay, let's go into our inventory just to see what we've got. San Pedro. We could sell that, I guess. San Pedro. So there's two things we can sell in San Pedro. So we kind of should be going to San Pedro, but we can't. So San Pedro and Karachi. I don't know where Karachi is. That sounds Asian, so probably not really that useful. Yeah, this is really... The best thing we can do is to land in San Francisco. And the great thing about it is I can't actually select to just sleep. Okay, what was that? I did not press that at all. So I guess we'll just... Before the night ended, I helped the kitchen staff to clean, because that's the best thing we can do. depart for San Francisco, because that's what we want. Really, the Englishman's wardrobe helps? Okay, well, we're gonna go. Oh shit. How are we in debt? That's just, how did that happen? The scent of ripe bananas pervaded every plank and decking, and bulkhead, a sweet and deliciously rotting odor which I rather became accustomed to on the voyage, much to the detriment of my keen sense of smell. Ugh, I huffed, attempting to convince my mouth that I ate fried kippers and potatoes at breakfast. Everything smells of bananas. Monsieur Fogg replied that he could not smell a thing, which I took to be his queerly English sense of humor at work. Still, if bananas were to be the worst of my troubles aboard this boat, then that would be no bad thing. Greetings, Captain. Passepartout. Take my arm a moment. San Francisco. Chinese immigrants. San Francisco. Omaha. Chicago, I guess. To Duluth. I don't know where the fuck that is. Well, how did we discover that? Whatever. I don't think we're gonna make it. I think we're gonna lose here, guys. I woke in the middle of the night, convinced that someone was in the cabin with me. I stayed very still and listened. There was a long, wave-lapped silence, until I heard distinctly a dragging shuffle. I opened my eyes and looked up. My heart beating impossibly loud in my chest. In the darkness, I saw a sheen pair of eyes gazing vacantly in the distance. Monsieur Fogg, I cried, and my midnight visitor blinked and straightened, and looked about my cabin in genteel surprise. What? He said calmly, pulling his dressing gown close. Am I doing in your cabin, Passepartout? You wouldn't know better than I, monsieur, I exclaimed passionately, rather upturned by his sudden appearance. He took a sharp breath. It seems I have been sleepwalking, he said, his voice almost tremulous. I have not done so since I was a child. Please accept my apologies. Would you like to stay for a while? I asked, sensing his agitation. I'm awake after all. I would like that, thank you. Your relationship with Fogg has deteriorated slightly. Why? Captain Kalani was a heavily pregnant Hawaiian woman who found Monsieur Fogg's English accent a source of great mirth. Say something else, she demanded over breakfast. Please, Mr. Fogg. I distracted her with some idle talk, and my master cast me a grateful look, all in a day's work from a valet of my unimpeachable caliber. Thank you, my good man. I feel better. Of course he had to fucking get cholera. I woke to a frantic knocking at my door and opened it to find Monsieur Fogg actually wringing his hands. Passepartout, he said, his breath hitching. Come quickly. What is wrong, monsieur? I cried, certain something was truly unspeakable was afoot, and I was not wrong. My master opened the door to his cabin to reveal Captain Kalani, red-faced and moaning upon his bed. She turned her baleful gaze in our direction. I am having my baby early, she hissed, sweat upon her upper lip. You must help me. What should I do? I had intended to ask a question, but it came more like a shout. Will one of you hold my bloody hand and the other fetch me some blasted water? I glanced at Monsieur Fogg, who said, I will fetch the water, and left me to hold Captain Kalani's hand. Is the baby's father not aboard? I inquired, grimacing as she squeezed my fingers so hard I feared I would be left with pulp. He is at home, she gasped, tending the farm. Can we get on? Monsieur Fogg returned with the bucket of water, but our respite was short-lived. Captain Kalani parted her knees. One of you, she said authoritatively, must catch the baby. I steeled myself to the role and relinquished her hand to Monsieur Fogg. I tried to compose my expression into something cool and medical and detached, but I fear I met with mixed success at best. After an infinitely long, infinitely terrifying interval, which I have not the means to describe, I held a small, squalling, red-faced baby in my arms. I handed the creature over immediately, fearful that my hands would slip or that I would clutch too tightly. Captain Kalani was sweaty and wild-eyed and utterly exhausted. She held the baby to her chest as though it were an infinitely precious thing. She began to sing to her little girl a song of whales and ocean waves and airships that hung like moons in the sky. Captain Kalani's indisposition the previous day did not delay us in the least. She had a well-trained and loyal crew who seemed to have collectively adopted her little girl as one of their own. I will call her Jean, Captain Kalani told us as we tethered at San Francisco. You are excellent midwives. I was overcome and ducked my head like a boy from the countryside. The name suits her, madam, I said. She will wear it better than I have. I turned towards San Francisco Bay with renewed hope. After all, whatever challenges it offered could scarcely be more taxing than those we had just overcome. The fur coat could run us well here. Explore. New routes discovered. Okay. So we can get to San Pedro directly from here, if we want to, which we probably should. San Francisco seemed less a city and more a ravenous beast bent on consumption of everything, even of itself, within the ever-expanding city limits. Enormous steam-powered drills and diggers flattened hills, straightened roads, reformed neighborhoods, and dumped the resulting rubble and stone into Mission Bay. I sloped towards recently constructed Long Bridge, which was crowded with families out for a stroll and people fishing for silvery smelt with long poles. In the water was a jangle of rowing boats facing each other and boatmen taking passengers out to Mission Rock. Cheers and good-natured shouts emitted from a halfway house in the middle of the bridge. I scoured the water for boats we might take. Sure. But there seemed to be none heading out. All were fishing. A man, red-faced and somewhat the worse for drink, bumped into me. I excused myself politely, and he made an apology in return, slinging an arm around my shoulders. "Oh, hello," he exclaimed. "You don't sound like you are from around here." "You do not sound American either," I retorted. "No matter, I was Dutch once in a past life, but now I am as American as President Grant. This is the land of newcomers. You a prospector?" "I'm a traveler. I'm traveling around the world." "Oh, yeah? And I'm a Navajo chief." "Actually, I learned I'm a jewel thief on the run." "What, really?" "That's incredible." A brown-skinned woman slipped her arm into his. I regarded her. She was wearing a ruffled walking dress in the latest European style, but with a short, tasseled jacket embroidered with the patterns of her tribe. "Ah, my manners." He shook his ruddy face. "I am Anders, and this is my wife, Jenny." "A pleasure to meet you." I kissed her hand. She was surprised, but smiled. "Always a pleasure to meet Anders' friends." She looked askance at the whiskey flask in his hands, but seemed to find me unobjectionable. I hesitated, the obvious question about her origins on the tip of my tongue. I swallowed back the question, though clearly with a visible effort, for she laughed with full-throated pleasure. "I am of the Modoc tribe, what the new Americans call Indians." Jenna rolled her eyes. "I do not mind your surprise. Most of my tribe have been taken to the Klamath Reservation in Oregon." "What is a reservation?" Jenny looked at me with utter astonishment. "They are tracts of land where the first peoples are relocated, when the whites decide they want the gold, the silver, the coal, the buffalo in our homelands." Anders whispered something into Jenny's ear and she laughed, though I feared I had opened an old wound with my prying questions. I nodded and found my way back to Monsieur Fogg, who was sitting drinking tea with a disconsolate frown. "It tastes like soup," he remarked, but would say no more. "It was a girl, Passepartout. A girl." Okay. Once again, we could not afford the hotel. We had no chance but to lie down under a bridge like the poorest peasants and try to sleep. Bid them join us. And lay down gratefully in our heap, sharing a little much-needed warmth. Well, I guess we'll just have to go to the bank again, and maybe they'll give us more money. Manager. Oh. Yeah, we have to take 3,000 because it's just, there's no... Okay, let's go to the market. Nothing useful. Great. Run out of time here. We have to get to New York somehow. So I guess we'll go to Cheyenne then. So yeah, it's much cheaper now. Going across the ocean is fucking ridiculous. We were lucky to arrive in San Francisco just in time to catch the inaugural journey of the Transcontinental Express, which would take us to New York in 8 days, with only a handful of stops along the way. Ah, fuck. I gotta take care of fog again. The first day aboard was enjoyable enough. American trains could clearly not compete with their European counterparts, but it was amusing to see them try. The posters proclaimed Pullman's Palace sleeping cars. And while not palatial in the slightest, they were at least serviceable. We sipped cool beer as we rattled through a long stretch of desert in the shadow of tall mountains. I attended to Monsieur Fogg and his delicate stomach, which was not entirely better today. Our fellow passengers were a curious mix of gold and silver prospectors, homesteaders, farmers from all corners of the world, Mormons, missionaries, soldiers, and stiff-necked gentry of various sorts. I gave a young black woman with a deep red bonnet and an infectious laugh a wide smile. Her name was Diana. I am meeting my husband in Cheyenne, she told me. He did construction work in New York, but New York isn't safe anymore. We have enough money to move now. Why isn't it safe? I queried innocently, having only the broad strokes of American news and history. You did not hear of the draft riots in Europe? She asked wonderingly. New York has always had Confederate sympathies, and when the Union began drafting New Yorkers, they rioted. They killed and burned black homes. My husband has never felt safe since, but now we're moving to Cheyenne. She smiled, nearly glowing with happiness. I told her some tales of my adventures, which seemed to amuse her greatly, as the afternoon wore into evening and we passed by Ogden, close to Salt Lake City. We watched as passengers disembarked, glimpsing fertile fields and well-tended ranches out of the windows of the train. Day 60, Monsieur Fogg murmured that night in his sleep, and still some distance yet to travel. Passenger. Yeah, I can't really... I have to attend to him all the time because he's so fucking low. Today, a fellow with a painfully trimmed mustache and impeccable suit approached me outside the lavatory. I made way so he could pass by, but he extended a hand to me. I am Felix Granger, he said. You are a puzzle. I am utterly flummoxed. A puzzle? I repeated in consternation. Monsieur, I am a simple man whose past is an open book. Oh no. Do tell me how you came to be on the Transcontinental. Thereby hangs a tale. I can tell, good sir. He was merely interested in me and my adventures, and I saw no reason now not to enlighten him in great detail. His eyebrows raised higher and higher during my recitation. Then, this is your first time in America? Oh yes, I grinned. A very strange place, you will allow. Monsieur. He seemed surprised. Are we so strange? He stroked his trim mustache. Maybe we are that, by God. stopped at Cheyenne, Wyoming for a few hours in the evening. The trim, mustached fellow disembarked to talk with a 6-foot-tall woman who wore the latest slim terrain skirts and a pistol tucked into her waistband. We disembarked also and bid a farewell to our fellow passengers. Our arrival in Cheyenne, Magic City of the Plains, was met to our surprise by a small parade, which we rather enjoyed, but did not investigate too deeply, preferring to find onward travel as soon as possible. The town was otherwise rather small and uncomfortable, though I found myself in a charming saloon, playing a curious card game involving colored sets and runs, which I rather failed to understand, but which the locals took terribly seriously, called poker. It appeared to be a game about lying, bluffing, and eliciting sympathy, or else encouraging the other players to drink more heavily than oneself. Naturally, I was no better than average and lost a small sum before retiring from the game. Well, fuck you. Plan. So we're in Cheyenne, and I'd like to go to New York, so I guess we go to Atlanta. Departs in 3 days. I guess we can wait. Spend a few nights here. We passed an anxious night with our 80-day deadline looming. Every sunset seemed to carry extra weight. We made ourselves comfortable tonight, and I afforded to my master every service. Well, now this journey is proving more draining than I thought. Another night, and the clock was ticking forever ticking upwards. With that remainder of the day, I did that again. Depart for New York. Arrives next Tuesday. Arrives next Thursday. Fuck. And then we have to get across. Do I want to depart for Omaha? So that is a horse and buggy. Okay, can we stop? Please stop. Okay. And this is... train. So I'm going to hope that it's not lying to me and that it actually departs tomorrow. Despite Cheyenne being a small place of a few thousand souls, it was still well connected by rail with the Houston and Texas Railroad Company, proudly advertising the fastest ride to the glorious South, which I distrusted on sight. In England, I have observed, they make signs to place limits on what you can do. In America, all the signs ask you to dream beyond the realm of possibility, but neither tells the plain truth that every man is only as free as the world allows him to be. It took a while for everyone to board. Then the train issued a loud whistle, and with a whoop from guard, we were away down the tracks. Converse. Dallas. Dallas to Albuquerque, sure. Dallas to America. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. No idea, but how? But now I have heard there are aviaries full of jewel-eyed clockwork birds there. But now, would you consider moving out here? Perhaps. Dakar, I don't. That's not really much use to me. So I have 15 days. I passed the time aboard the train. Eavesdropping, trying to find options for our next leg. And I discovered from a charming San Franciscan clerk that the Haitians in Panama City have some of the fastest aircraft in the world, but these strange ships have feathers. In the evening, we pulled into Dallas Station, a grander affair than Cheyenne's own minor station. The evening jacket could earn us well here. Where's Panama City? It's down there. I don't think we're gonna go there. So let's just go and just see the market real quick. Okay, well, let's not. Nope. That's what I meant. Plan. Departs tomorrow. Okay, we'll spend the night. Or I guess we'll explore. There was an air of nervous tension in the city, which I did my best to ignore, reasoning that as a traveler it was nothing I need become embroiled in, but still I could sense there was a deep rage left by the Civil War and the years of slave owning that had preceded it, and it all lay a skin's thickness below the surface of things. I left the center and headed into a freedman's town on the eastern edge. And though now the passers-by met my eye, it was mostly to stare me down. Most likely they were trying to place my face. Stopping into a low saloon, I ordered a beer and took a seat at the bar. "You, sir, are lost," the bartender assured me. "Where are you meant to be?" "I'm going around the world," I declared, and he burst into laughter. "Are you really? And you stop in my bar? Well, now, I always knew I was destined for greatness." The bar was otherwise empty. I drank my beer slowly, enjoying the refreshing cool of it. I finished my beer and thanked the bartender before taking my leave and making my way back to Monsieur Fogg. And now we spend the rest of the day, and hopefully we leave tomorrow. Group of white ghosts drifting around the corner of a building, one carrying a torch of flame. I looked quickly away, not wanting to understand the city has a curse on it, and I wanted nothing but to leave as soon as we could. Depart for New Orleans. Yeah, this is really fucking slow, to be honest with you. But that's the only option we got, so... We boarded the Texas and Pacific Railway, a decent stretch of railroad by all accounts, which joined west coast to south. It lacked the speed of an airship, but at least it was reasonably comfortable. Special report from Minsk. The French are the worst for short memories. The stretch of track was unremarkable. I passed the time eavesdropping. We entered the evening. The coastline became visible. We entered the... Okay. Okay. Plan. So we're going to New York. It arrives Monday, but when does it depart? Tomorrow at 2 p.m. Okay. So we'll go to the market and just see what we've got. Okay, well, we're definitely going to get that. So I just need to sell one thing. Actually, no, I can just put this in here. And then buy the trombone. And actually probably get rid of that. And we'll get this just in case we need it. Alright. Hotel. I met Death in a smoke-wreathed, red-lit bar in New Orleans as the jazz band struck up another tune. He offered to buy me a bourbon. Perhaps in 20 or 30 years, I replied archly, as some of the other patrons snickered. Death pulled off his master meal, handsome cafe au lait features and dark green eyes, and then extended a skeletal hand to me. A fine costume, I remarked. Merci, mon cher. I am Death at our neighborhood Mardi Gras, and I am practicing my role. He took my proffered hand and brought the back of it to his lips for a gallant kiss. He flicked me a rather unmistakable look under his dark lashes. To be so clearly desired by Death was unnerving. I found my feet, shaking, and stepped back. He tilted his face to the side. Do you find my color displeasing? He asked with a lazy smile. Not that. He laughed low and pleasing. It matters little, mon cher. There are many white men in New Orleans who do. In spite of it, I am a free man. Death resumed his mask. I do not believe in prophecy, but the chill of his cold fingers on my face sent a thrill of fear through me. Abandoning dignity, I ran from the bar, nerves rattling like knuckle bones in a cup. The Piedmont airline from New Orleans was not, in fact, an airline at all, but according to its advertising, the fastest railway in America. Hardly a bold claim, considering there were only 2 truly significant lines in the continent, but nonetheless, it gave my master some satisfaction when he saw the slogan on the wall of the compartment. Cholera spreading from Manila aboard airships. We settled ourselves in a carriage with one other occupant, an extremely large man who introduced himself as Charlie Sullivan, a lad from Birmingham. Oh, the game froze, I think. Who had grown into something the size of a warehouse building with huge tracts of muscle, especially around the neck and upper arms. I asked where he was going, and he replied, New York. I was boxing. I'm going home. You fought in a competition? I interrupted. There was an exhibition, he said. I won. 3rd round knockout. I gulped. However, Monsieur Fogg's interest had been increasing sharply throughout the conversation. You are trained? He demanded keenly. Or self-taught? I've got a manager, Sullivan replied. He tells me what to hit. Excellent, excellent, Monsieur Fogg enthused. I want to hear all about it. I sat back and enjoyed the conversation. The details of boxing are more intricate than one might expect. And hearing the business of cut and thrust delivered in Sullivan's so very English tones was very informative. Little did I know how the details I heard would come to be of use to me. New York to Winnipeg via Ottawa. Oh, that's right. Regina. But answer me this. Do you play football? No, I don't. You look a bit like a center forward, I thought. Well, maybe fuck you. Seems unlikely to me. Duluth. I have to go. Yeah, okay, you do that. So the problem becomes, how do we cross the fucking Atlantic? I thought New York, that's probably the greatest chance we have. But that Mr. Sullivan will, I think, go very far indeed, Monsieur Fogg opined as I brought him kippers from the dining car. Is that so? Oh yes, his description of the transfer of weight from foot to foot was very well understood indeed. So you are a boxer, monsieur? I saw the shutters of his conversation beginning to come down. I went to school, yes. Boxing school? He blinked at me. I think France a very curious country at times. He attacked his kippers with some gusto. You should fight him, he said. I laughed at my master's joke, but Monsieur Fogg, as ever, was not joking, and he looked up at me with some surprise. Is something the matter? Forgive me, it sounded as though you said I should fight Mr. Sullivan. Indeed, he forked another forkful. You needn't be alarmed. I can teach you to box. I rolled back my sleeves. I am sure you can, monsieur, I replied, and I am a quick learner. That has never been true, but I saw no other choice. Excellent, Monsieur Fogg put down his paper. I have arranged for a space in the guard's van. Come. When had he done this? I do not know. I merely followed, and there was Sullivan, stripped to the waist, doing his warm-up exercises. Piss poor too, he greeted me. Through a thick leather mouthguard. Sullivan, I declared, meatily, as I removed my own shirt and began to listen as my master provided some pointers, and then the fight began. Sullivan was a tough opponent, and if he chose to swing hard, he would brain me unless I defended myself, but he would not be able to slug on every swing. I would have to pick my moments to attack. To begin with, I kept my guard up, matching Fogg's demonstration from the across the car. Just as Sullivan punched hard, the blow landed against my defense. I shook it off as best I could. A small crowd had gathered to watch the fight, and they murmured with excitement. Strength and stamina are different. Monsieur Fogg called to me from the side. Your strength will come back if you swing lightly, but your stamina, once gone, will leave you out cold. I nodded to show that I had heard. Sullivan's eyes narrowed. I kept my guard up, once more protecting my face while Sullivan made a quick jab. I caught the punch neatly. We were both still lively, although he was faring a little better than me. Watch it. The next swing may be harder. Next, I threw a light punch. A quick, decisive move. Sullivan lifted his defenses. I knocked him back a little. Neither of us was badly worn, though he was looking better than me. He will have regained some muster from that block, my master shouted, so be warned. Brought my defenses up, once more protecting my face. Just Sullivan punched hard and deflected the impact breathlessly. I was fading fast and could not take much more. I heard rather than saw the money-changing hands. Spectators were betting on me. I saw Sullivan's shoulders move back. He's moving to block, Fogg murmured. So don't swing too hard. Jabbed. I pushed him a little. Saw his arms tense. I jabbed. Fuck it. I knocked his strength a bit. I was feeling battered and bruised. Next. I brought my defenses up. Once more, protect my fishes, Sullivan, and put up his defenses. We circled each other nervously. I was fading fast and could not take much more. I threw a light punch. I timed it poorly. Sullivan punched hard. The blow slipping past my guard. He was tiring, certainly, but I was all but on my knees. He won't be able to swing like that again. Now it's my turn. I threw a heavy punch. Pulling all the way behind. While Sullivan lifted his arms to block, I knocked him back a little bit. I could not take much more. This one more hit would likely finish me off. He's making to swing. Brought my defenses up. Sullivan punched hard. I dodged neatly. Sullivan was weak, but he knew he had me. Kept my fists up. Dragged my fist. Just a stinging punch, the blow landing against my defense. It was too much. I slumped to the ground. Generous hands lifted me to my feet and put my jacket over my head. A good show, Monsieur Fogg said gently, though I'm afraid we have lost some money. God damn it. Why the fuck was he fucking betting our money, the piece of shit? Yes. Well, this is thoroughly uneducational. I awoke, still smarting from my boxing match with Sullivan, and my master most generously decided he would fetch breakfast. You are most kind, monsieur. Indeed, he replied, and we cannot have you dropping the tray. He returned with a black coffee and well-buttered toast. A most considerate choice to bring to a Frenchman. Or at least so I thought until he began to eat the toast himself and drink the coffee and slurp. We arrived into New York later that day. I struggled to lift the case with my tired arms, and we staggered off the train. The trombone could earn us well here. Yes, it could. That's right. Bam. I'm assuming that's in Canada. Okay. Oh no, it's not. It's over there. So maybe we should get that. Let's go back to the market and buy that penny black, because we'll probably be able to use it. And explore, I guess, because we don't have a path right now. We really want to get to Lisbon at this point. Oh, for fuck's sake, look at this shit. I was pickpocketed in New York. I trusted to my unstealable wallet to keep me safe. It worked charmingly, bringing the thief a cropper just as they were running away. The yank of the elastic sudden and severe enough to lay them flat. I snatched back my purse and marched triumphantly away until once around the corner I collapsed with a deep sigh of relief. A valet who loses his wallet is no valet at all. The shock passed, and I made my way back to our hotel before anything more untoward could befall my person. Well, that worked pretty well. Oh yeah, okay, plan. So we can get actually directly back to London, but it requires a little bit of money. It departs tomorrow, so if I go to the bank, is it still open? Please tell me it's still open. Fuck. Well, you know, sometimes life doesn't really work out the way that you'd hoped. I'd really hoped to go to Lisbon, but I guess we'll just have to go directly to London. Holy shit, that's so much fucking cheaper. But it departs in 3 days. Fucking negative 30 fucking 4. And you can't take any bags. Fuck me. No wonder it's so cheap. Well, we'll have plenty of time to think that over because we're stuck here. Let's just advance the day. Day 71, before retiring. There's a minor alteration to ensure everything is in place for our inevitable departure. Depart for... Where is it pointing me to? To London? Yeah, I don't really know. I guess we can wait. Till the thing opens. We're almost... Oh my god, we're so close. Let me just see. When does it arrive? This one. Because it leaves... Fucking Christ. Can you just fucking work? Like shit. It departs today and arrives on Thursday, so it's 2 days. So that shouldn't be too bad. Let's go to the bank and see if we can't get all we need. Is two, well... Yeah, we need $3 grand, unfortunately. So we will stay here for a few days and hopefully we get it. kept ourselves occupied. We settled in. I want to explore a little. From which I learned it can sometimes be prudent not to get involved. I came in with a torn shirt. Well, fuck you. Last hours of the evening. Polished our shoes and hat brims. One day. Okay, so we'll have our funds. As night fell, we started to repack and iron everything for our coming departure. Is there anything new in the market? No, there's not. Funds. Oops. Bank. Depart. Now we can depart. Not there. We don't want that. Please, please, please. Negotiate. No charge tomorrow. Okay. It's so fucking expensive. Okay, so tomorrow at 3 p.m. Bam. Another anxious night. Before going to bed, went out to explore a little. Found nothing of any particular interest. Depart for London. Embark. Hire extra space. Open luggage. Embark. So, well, hopefully we make it. We left New York aboard the Henrietta, an old Confederate airship converted to a transatlantic mail carrier. We would reach London in 3 days, barring an unexpected delay. We're just barely going to make this shit. Adventure Fogg expected back shortly. The ocean tore along beneath us. I enjoyed talking to no one. There was nothing I needed to know, no one to charm, flatter, or beguile into giving us aid. There was only the wind and the time, and we could control neither. Passepartout, my master demanded. Make us go faster, if you would. I approached the captain. Faster, you say? It can be done, but it would destroy the engines. We want no risk, no danger. Then I promise you we will be in London in 2 or more days. Monsieur Fogg looked out at the observation deck windows with perfect calm, as though we were not, with every passing moment. Drawing closer and closer to London. My nerves were in shreds, and I was nearly chewing the rails with anticipation. I spent the remaining time embarking on the writing of this account, though I found already the details of our early adventures had grown vague and indistinct. It was day 76. We had barely 100 hours remaining to return home. We tethered the airship dock in Hyde Park and felt for the first time in 77 days the feel of English soil under our shoes. At long last we had returned to London, and in time to win the wager. Bam! I seized my master by the collar and threw him into one of the steam carriages idling on the banks of the Serpentine in Hyde Park. To the Reform Club, I shouted. What the fuck? Throwing 50 pounds at the driver's inducement to speed. And you'll have another 50 when we arrive. Now drive. There is no need for such unseemly haste, Passepartout, my master noted. But I was a man possessed. The streets of London seemed comforting and familiar as they flashed past my well-traveled eyes. The carriages were mostly horse-drawn, and gas lamps rather than electricity lit our ways as we raced down Pall Mall. The carriage barely shuddered to a steam hissing stop before I dragged my master from his seat and up the steps to the imposing doors of the Reform Club. I released him only when we reached the great saloon, where my master's erstwhile friends stood from their chairs, gaping in an attitude of great shock. Monsieur Fogg only straightened a little and said in a calm voice, "Gentlemen, here I am." The room erupted into cheers. Where had the crowd come from? Had they followed us from inside from the street? I had scarcely noticed them. I realized, as though a spell had suddenly broken, that we had succeeded, and my master had won 20,000 pounds. With the 4,000 we began with, the debt built up from banks along the way, and our remaining funds, it was only a profit of over 5,000. My heart began to beat again, and I saw for the first time the crowds who had forced their ways into the club to witness the momentous occasion. A journalist in a dark blue bonnet caught my eye. "And you must be the loyal valet, Passepartout," she said. "How can you possibly know that?" I asked in surprise. "All of London has been feverishly following Phileas Fogg's progress in the papers." She swept her gaze over me and scribbled furiously in her notebook. "Your master will be tomorrow's headline, or I'll eat my hat." "I am quite overwhelmed," I admitted. "I am not surprised," she agreed. "You should sit down." One of the club butlers was just taking from our case the chunk of malachite. "To go above the mantelpiece, I think," he murmured. "A most fine souvenir of your adventures, Monsieur Fogg, sir." It looked quite fine there, and I smiled with pride. I pushed my way through to Monsieur Fogg, who had been swallowed by congratulatory crowds. "You have won the bet, monsieur," I told him, and seized my master by the hand and shook it as though we were two equals and not merely a master and a servant. Monsieur Fogg pressed my hand warmly and did not remark even once upon the impropriety of my gesture. Indeed, though his cool gaze did not so much as waver or soften, I believe he welcomed the chance to shake my hand. "I thank you for your service as my valet, Passepartout," Monsieur Fogg said coolly. "Though you do not perform your duties with particular skill, you are not particularly incompetent either. Steady mediocrity is a quality I admire in a servant." Well, with Monsieur Fogg, one had to take one's compliment as they came. "Mr. Fogg, Mr. Fogg," the blue-bonneted journalist cried, interrupting our conversation. "What next for the great adventure of Phileas Fogg and his loyal valet, Passepartout?" My master looked at me. I returned the glance. "I've always wondered what is at the center of the earth." I looked around the faces of the assembled crowd and quirked an eyebrow. "Anyone care to make a wager?" Monsieur Fogg refrained from rolling his eyes. "I believe," he said with great deliberation, "that tonight I will have supper and go to bed. Come, Passepartout, it grows late." "Yes, Monsieur Fogg," I said, and followed. Your journey around the world is complete. So I'm actually surprised that I didn't completely die. I did it. Celebrate the Times. Celebrated Englishman Phileas Fogg wins round-the-world wager. Journey completed in 77 days, despite valet losing boxing match against world champion, nights of rough sleeping, and contracting cholera. Those are all things that happen. So there you go. We ever transport trains? Yeah. Finishing balance 5,800. Yep. I know what that means. Character steadfast. I don't know what that means either. Manner, my manner. I don't know what any of this fucking means. I literally don't. Yeah, I can't even imagine visiting more than that. So yeah, there you go. So this has been 80 days. It was actually pretty fun. The reading was a little bit difficult, and it has been almost 3 hours, and I've done this all in one sitting. It's unedited. Well, I mean, it might be a little edited, but I've done this in one session. So I hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully my reading wasn't too appalling, and it was pretty robotic, I admit, but you know, I mostly didn't completely fuck it up. So hopefully you enjoyed, and I can't wait to not have to record for 3 hours straight again. So this is Sandwich Fanatics, signing off.